everyone, and welcome to Just a Bit Outside, presented by WaFd Bank. Join a best bank at wafdbank.com. I'm Michelle Ludtka, and we've got a great show in store for you this week, including a one-on-one with Seahawks insider Jackie Montgomery. We're talking the playoffs, plus the challenges of being a working mother in sports. Plus, we've got an all-new trivia segment, and Aaron has his picks in Against All Odds. But to start things off by checking in on this week's Hot Topics, presented by WaFd Bank, as our experts weigh in from the sidelines. Joining us now is Q13's Aaron Levine, Carla Marie Anthony joining us all for their hot takes from the sidelines. You guys might recognize Carla Marie and Anthony, former radio hosts here in Seattle, who are now the co-hosts of the Carla Marie and Anthony Show on Twitch. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to catch up with you guys, and it's been an interesting year. First of all, you hear the show on Twitch. What's going on here? Where can people find you these days?
So Twitch is the best way to find everything that Anthony and I do. It's twitch.tv/Carla Marie and Anthony. And we're doing everything we got to do on the radio and more. It's so much fun because we get to interact with people live. So I say it's like doing a show with an AOL chat room, because we get to talk to everyone who's watching and listening as we're live. And it's been so much fun getting to try something new during this chaos.
The absolute ultimate pivot of 2020. Also, I should plug the creators of Dirty Little Secrets. Did I get that correct? Yes.
Yeah, we actually do that. And what's been cool is I think timing wise, everyone's getting used to video conferencing now and doing work from home. So it really worked out well for us because we're kind of just plugged into what everyone's doing anyway.
Oh, absolutely. It's so fun. And we're so excited here to have you guys give us your takes from the sidelines. I know, Carla Marie, you're a huge sports fan. That's what you were telling me.
I like the sports. I just don't know much about the sports.
Well, Aaron and I are
at all.
Yeah, exactly. We're excited to have you guys here. Let's start off with our first hot topic. And in honor of the start of 2020, we have to at least look back on this last year, or I should say the start of 2021. We'll look back on 2020. I want to know your favorite sports moment or storyline that happened in this crazy year.
Well, I think for me, I would have to go with just the NBA bubble and everything that the NBA did in that time frame. I don't know if that counts towards your answer or your question, but I think the NBA handled everything at that time as best as they could, with the pandemic, with playing the actual game, with dealing with social injustice, everything that the NBA did in that 2-month span, whatever it happened to be. I think they did an incredible job. So that was my favorite part.
Oh man, this is far-fetched, but I went to Rutgers University in New Jersey. You probably don't know much about Rutgers because the football team
Scarlet Knights.
Yes! Football team generally sucks, but we kicked off our season beating Michigan State. Is that the right Michigan, Anthony? Did I get it right?
Yeah, that was the right. That was
Right,
Michigan.
Michigan. And it was very exciting for that to happen. So I don't think we've won many games after that, but our basketball team is doing really well, which is so amazing. So I'm very excited about that.
Now, if Carla Marie is allowed to plug Rutgers University, I have to talk about my rival school, Seton Hall University, who is superior in every way, shape, and form, except for we don't have a football team.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Maybe one day. What do you think, Anthony? I think on the topic, I think locally at least, you have to go with the Sounders' ridiculous comeback in the conference finals, just because it was so unexpected. The odds of that happening was so low. There's obviously the Storm winning the 4th NBA title in franchise history. Personally, I'm going to go with being at the NFL Combine, just because I don't know when I'm ever going to have a chance to go there again with this pandemic, and being able to sit with Pete Carroll and do a normal interview. It's amazing how the ordinary things seem so foreign to us right now. Yeah. But on a national scale, my favorite of all, probably the first time we've seen Tiger Woods and his son Charlie competing together on a golf course, seeing how similar they are with their cadences, and seeing how Tiger is as a mentor and a teacher and a dad. Cool. And in a year that began with the tragedy of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi, and never being able to see that relationship flourish together on a basketball court, that really struck me with a positive chord, especially at the end of the year. I'm really excited to see more of Tiger and Charlie going forward.
So many great points, you guys, because obviously there's so many things still in this awful year that was 2020 to be grateful for and to think of the bright spots and stuff. But before we move on to our next, I have to point something out. Aaron, you mentioned the NFL Combine. Now, Carla Marie, you and I have met a couple of times out and about throughout the city, but Anthony, you and I have never met in person. But the one time I remember seeing you in person is when you embarrassed all of us at the Seahawks Media Combine. Aaron, I think you were at Mariner Spring Training, so you weren't there that year. But Anthony kicked butt. It was like humiliation for all of us except for Anthony.
I mean, I don't want to brag, but I was the fastest, strongest, allegedly smartest person there that day. So
Michelle?
That one brief moment in time, I was on top of the world.
No, I'm so mad at you right now because I hate that he always brings this up and that you just brought it up right now.
I do not always bring it up. Once a week is not always.
Hey, he's
Always.
scoring 4 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
Al Bundy from Married with Children. And then, I mean, I've come up with any excuse in the world not to be there whenever they have the media combine, because the first time I took part in it, Blitz in full uniform beat me in the 40-yard dash. So that was kind of embarrassing.
He definitely outshowed me too, trying to catch passes. I was like, you're a bird with giant feet. Anyway, time to move on. Anthony, I hope to see you in person one day outside of that.
Not running anything. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Hot topic number 2. I want to know what your New Year's resolution is, either for yourself or for the sports world. What do you hope to see in 2021?
A job for me. No, no. Last year, I was so scared setting a resolution this year because I felt so scarred from like anything I set for last year just went out the window. But my goal this year is like the little daily routine, like getting that back because we lost that. So whether it's like, all right, I'm going to work out every day at this time, or I'm actually going to journal, just doing the smallest things daily other than being like, oh, it's 5 p.m. and I haven't brushed my teeth today. Like, need to be better at that this year. But for the sports world, and I know that you can agree with me on this one, is I want to see more women represented in the male sports world. Like whether it's anchors like you, sideline reporters, or just, coaches, all of it. I really feel like this is the year for that to happen.
I love it.
Yeah, I think the year actually kicked off pretty well for that because as far as I know, the Red Sox, I think yesterday announced their first African-American female hire in all of baseball ever, which is pretty incredible. I think for me, resolution personally would be just getting outside and making sure. I'm trying to set the bar real low, by the way, for 2020. Like literally opening the door and stepping outside is a resolution. But I think for the sports world, I just want to see people back in stands and stadiums, whenever that happens to be safe for the different states and municipalities around the country. But I think that's what everyone would love to see. Just people in stands at games.
Anthony, it's stepping outside and wearing something other than sweats or basketball shorts, right?
Exactly.
I'm kind of relying on the Q13 Fox Heart Health Challenge every February, because every football season, like clockwork, I gain about 10 pounds. And that month of February kind of puts me back on track because I start eating right and running a lot just to shed those pounds. For the sports world, I'll go a little bit off center. I'm biased. I want to see Jordan Spieth regain his championship form again on the golf course. I root like crazy for him in major tournaments. He has struggled so much for a few years now, and the Masters is just a few months away again. I know they just played it, but I want to see him get out there and win another green jacket.
For anyone interested in the Q13 Heart Challenge, Carla Marie Anthony will have to get you guys involved. It's all led by Allie Bradley over at Q13Fox.com, encouraging you to hit 10,000 steps every day, Aaron. And Aaron always is over 20,000, kicks everybody's butt.
It's competitive. It gets very competitive between the morning show and then the rest of the shows, the night show. Love it.
I think I'm at like 6 steps total for the day at the moment. So
couch to fridge, couch to fridge. Yeah, I'm in.
My personal resolution is to on kind of your note, Carla Marie, is with the routine is to kind of start putting on full outfits. I'm definitely still in my sweatpants from the waist down. Yes, I'm glad I'm not the only one. As for the sports world, I want as many championships by Seattle teams possible, and that starts with it was the Seahawks 2020 season, but we are in 2021, so I want a good Seahawks run in the playoffs. It all starts this weekend. The Hawks hosting the Rams Saturday at Lumen Field. I want your projections. Are they going to win? How far are they going to go in the playoffs? What do you guys think?
I think, and I'm not necessarily a football expert. I do watch a lot, but when you have these two teams, the Rams and the Seahawks going up against each other, I mean, the Rams are capable of losing to the Jets. So I think the Seahawks should be okay. But the Seahawks have also had a very up and down season. The final record looks great. But they're also kind of a team that can turn it off as opposed to being able to turn it on whenever they want. I think sometimes they coast a little bit and that can cost them, but I think this weekend they'll be fine. And I think they'll make an okay run. I don't know where the ceiling is, but I think they have the possibility to make a pretty deep run.
Guys, do you want my opinion on they're going to win all of it.
I love it.
I mean, like, I know my thing is, of course, the Seahawks are going to win this year because can we even have a parade? Like, are we going to be able to do that? Like, that is why I'm like, yeah, of course it's going to happen.
Yeah, this would be the year. Not 700,000 fans lining the streets of Seattle like in 2014 or February 2014. I think they squeak by the Rams this weekend, and I really don't know what happens. I'm assuming they're going to go to New Orleans. It really depends on what happens with the other games this week. I'm not sure if they have the firepower to beat the Saints, but here's what I want. I want the Seahawks to have a lead at halftime of a divisional playoff game. So they have to win this week and then have a lead at halftime next week because they have been so bad in the first half of those games, from Atlanta to Carolina to last year in Green Bay. They need to start faster. They have to stop having to come from behind every single time they're in that situation. And then let's host Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship game, because that's the way we would be able to stay in Seattle for the NFC title game, as opposed to having to go to Lambeau Field and face the Packers again.
You know, Aaron, I think you bring up a good point. Sorry. It's just interesting. We talk about the heroics of Russ and the team all the time, and all these come from behind wins. But at some point you want to be like, can we just have a normal, non-heroic win?
They don't know how to blow out teams like the Saints and the Packers do. It is always close, aside from the one Jets win. And then talk about playing down to your opponents. The one home loss this year was to the Giants, a game they should have won against a backup quarterback. If they win that game, they are the top seed in the NFC, and they host games all throughout the playoffs.
My heart just can't take it. I'm with Anthony. Can we have a normal game where we just blow somebody out and win, and my anxiety levels don't have to raise, because it's just not good for my health? But that's a whole nother story.
All of us, for some reason, it's like we're all miserable at the end of a game for some reason.
But as long as they keep coming out with that W, hopefully we can get past that misery of like the start of the fourth quarter and get to just that excitement at the end as the clock blows out. So hopefully the Hawks get the win this weekend and go on a great run. You guys, that does it for us for Hot Topics today from the sidelines. Thank you so much, Carla Marie, my new favorite sports fan. Carla Marie and Anthony, check them out over on Twitch. They've got a show on Twitch TV. You just search the Carla Marie and Anthony Show, correct?
Yep. We'll come up.
All right. Check them out. We'll have to have you guys back, but thanks so much for the time, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Up next, she's been a voice in sports media for over a decade now, lending her expertise to action sports, professional soccer, and everything in between. And now she's taken her Emmy award-winning storytelling to the Seahawks. Joining me now, Seahawks digital host and producer, Jackie Montgomery. Jackie, thanks so much for taking the time to join me today on Just a Bit Outside.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. More than happy to be here.
Well, I absolutely love seeing your face. You know, during a normal season, you and I run into each other multiple times a week, but obviously that's not the case, as that me being general media is not allowed at the VMAC. But even you're at the stadium right now.
Yes, so I'm not at the stadium either, or I am not at the VMAC. I'm at the stadium right now. Normally I'd be in my little cubicle on the third floor, but yeah, now that the team is in intensive protocol, I've been working here out of one of the red zone suites at the stadium for about the past like a month and a half now, it seems. So kind of isolated here, but it's all good. You know, at least I'm still working. So that's all we can be thankful for.
What a weird year. And yes, got to be thankful for those things, for our jobs, for what we get to do. And for all you Seahawks fans out there, you probably know Jackie from social media, from all her work she does on the Seahawks website. She did an amazing series last year to mark 100th season of the NFL. And you did a bunch of fun history pieces with former players of the Seahawks and everything. But kind of before we really jump into it, I guess a good place to start is kind of how different has this year been as someone covering a team, you know, in the middle of a pandemic?
This year has been so different. I mean, there's so many other adjectives we could use to describe this year. Yeah, I mean, normally, as you know, it's like you're right there with the player and you have locker room access. If I need a player, just walking into the locker room being like, hey, DK, hey, Tyler, can we grab you for a second? And, you know, we have that luxury to like grab whoever we want. And now it's very much the opposite. You know, since I'm not there at the facility, I have to put my request in through PR. They grab the person and we do everything over Zoom. It's just a weird structure. It feels very, you just don't get to build that rapport that you normally get to with the players. And just being face to face, that's what I really miss. So yes, very different, and looking forward to hopefully a much different turn of events here in 2021.
You and me both, girl. Now, for everyone out there, I have to fully disclose, absolutely love Jackie Montgomery. I consider her one of my absolute best friends. And I was lucky enough to meet, gosh, Jackie, when did we meet? Like 8, 9 years
I know.
ago?
I was like, should we disclose our friendship and love for each other? Like, how does that work? Because yeah, I feel like so many people think that like reporters, especially female reporters, are like not friends. And we've been really fortunate that is not the case for us. Yeah, we met in 2012 at the Sounders when you had just come back to Seattle from Idaho, right?
Yeah, Idaho.
And I was working for the Sounders at that time, and it was just like a friendship, and we hit it off, and we've been so close ever since. And so it's really been a blessing to have you as like another like female friend, you know, just someone that's in the same business that can understand all the trials and tribulations and relate to so much. So love you so much.
Oh, gosh, people are going to be like, what is this? This is basically you're listening on to our private phone call. This is what we say to each other, because it's so special. And you hit a good point here. You know, there's such a terrible kind of image of women in workplaces just in general, in different careers, especially the media. It's very cutthroat. It's viewed in a certain way. Catty is what I always hear. But in my experience, and I know a lot of times in your experience, that's not at all what we've seen. In fact, it's almost more like this beautiful kind of sports sorority, I would say, in our career field. And I'm curious, what is your kind of, because your career has taken you all over the X Games, MLS, you know, you've worked nationally televised games. Now you're working for a team. And I've met a lot of women even through you, that it's kind of this cool support system that we found.
Totally. Yeah. You know, I feel like I definitely had an unconventional path to get here to regular sports. I mean, as you mentioned, like the X Games. So action sports were by far like my first love. I love action sports. I'm a snowboarder at heart. Love skateboarding, surfing, although I'm really bad at both of those. But I've always just really been drawn to action sports. And so when I wanted to get into sports media, I wanted to do action sports. That's all I wanted to do. But at that time, especially, it was such like it was not as big as it is now. And so to get into that door was really difficult, because it was just, there were so few jobs. And so I was like, okay, well, I love regular sports too. And that's always been a passion of mine. So was fortunate enough to land some jobs. I'm from Los Angeles, born and raised, was able to get a high school sideline, cover high school football for Fox Sports West in Los Angeles. And then from there, I got a job with foxsports.com when they were trying to kind of build up their digital space. Cause I feel like I'm so old that when I first started in TV, the digital space was like really unheard of, and not a lot of, outlets were doing stuff on the digital platforms. And so we're really trying to build up their video department. So I got a job with them. And from there, it led to a job with Fuel TV. I mean, gosh, it's just like, it's like you get one job and it leads to another. And it's just like this really long path. But Fuel TV was an all action sports network, and I absolutely loved them. But yeah, just kind of along the way, I started working for Major League Soccer, worked for them for a long time, which led me to Seattle when I decided to move up here to follow love and meet I met my husband, and he was living up here. So I moved up here and was very fortunate that I was able to get a job with the Seattle Sounders. And that kind of turned into a job here with the Seahawks. So very long path. It's been a long time in this industry, and just really fortunate to end up where I am now.
I always love hearing your story because it's a really unique one. Well, it's very unique in how it all worked out. In fact, I always mention your story, and you specifically, whenever I talk to college kids or anyone who wants to embark out in the broadcast field, because everybody's path is different. And we'll always be so grateful for soccer to bringing you up to the Pacific Northwest and for falling in love with your husband. We can't get out of there. Shout out to Blue Montgomery. Love him because we are so lucky to have you here, and the Seahawks are so lucky to have you here because you do such a beautiful job with your storytelling. But a lot of people might not know that you balance this career with probably the most important job in the world, being a full-time mom to two beautiful little girls who I love so much, Maddie and Lily.
Yes.
How has it been working in sports, you know, as a mother, but also kind of what's come to light recently during COVID? A lot was talked about with Molly McGrath being very visibly pregnant, covering sports. I remember seeing you on the sidelines with your beautiful belly, you know, and babies on the way. Like, what is it like? Because I think that's an untold story in sports of being a woman in sports and being a mother in sports.
It is really challenging, first of all. I do, you know, and gosh, you mentioned Molly, and when that whole story came to light, I was just like, I was so proud of her. I mean, I don't know her personally. I wish I did because she just seems like an awesome person. And I think that, again, I'd love to add more to our sports sorority that we have. But when that story happened and it really came to light, I was just so proud of her because I actually had a similar situation when I was first pregnant, and I wasn't even like that big. I was just like, I hadn't even told anyone yet. And I had someone on Twitter like totally berate me because of my size and weight, which it's something that I feel like our male counterparts never have to deal with, like what they're wearing or their size or whatever. And somebody said that, and I was just like, and I just wanted to yell at them like, dude, I'm pregnant. But I didn't want to, like, you know, announce my pregnancy by yelling at a Twitter troll. So I didn't say anything. I kind of kept it to myself. In hindsight, I wish I kind of had, like, you know, because it's not right for people to do that, first of all. But yeah, it is really challenging being a mom in the sports world. And I really commend the women out there and men, you know, because dads have a lot of responsibility too, but that can like keep it all together. Because I feel like for me, it's definitely like a give or take. I feel like I'm not accessible maybe on Twitter as much or social media as much as some of my counterparts, because for me, I just have like a hard off. You know what I mean? I'm like, got to turn off. And with our work being such a 24/7 news cycle, it's like, it is important to be on there. But that's just one thing that I have like kind of given myself. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do the social media thing because I just want to foster that relationship with my kids. And again, everyone's different. I'm not saying that what I'm doing is better than anyone else's, but that was just something that was really important to me, was having like an off switch when I could. But yeah, I remember when, you know, there's no time off for sports. It's like when sports is going, you can't take a time off. And as for me, being a freelancer, there's no maternity leave, unfortunately. And so, yeah, I remember with Maddie, I had her 2 weeks before the Sounders season started. And so being on the sidelines, like shortly after giving birth, was just one of the hardest experiences. It's just so hard on my body. I was just like, oh, it's okay. I got it. You're just like standing there for a few hours. I can do it. And I just remember going home being like, ugh, like melting into the couch. Yeah, it's a lot of balancing and just trying to balance that home work life scenarios. And it's challenging at times, but we make it work.
You're so inspiring. It's so beautiful how you do handle it. And I think what you're saying resonates with everyone, parents, not parents, all of us, especially now during COVID, trying to, you know, we're working at home, at least a lot of us. And it's like, okay, when do I turn the email off? When do I say, okay, I'm done for the day, I'm going to step away? And at least for you and I, we love what we do. We get to cover amazing teams. And before we wrap things up, Jackie, we've got to talk about the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Our pride and joy of Seattle right now. Playing the Rams this weekend, wild card weekend at Lumen Field, where you're at right now. What do you think about where the team's at going into this postseason if they can make a run?
You know, I'm not going to lie, the Rams were not one of the teams that I was hoping to face. It's just so hard when you face a team 3 times in a year, especially twice in 3 weeks. And we've seen, you know, the Rams are like, they have a tough defense, and this is definitely going to be a tough matchup. But I'm confident in this team. You know, our defense has had such a major turnaround the second half of the season that has given me a lot of confidence. And, I know a lot of people are putting doubt on the offense, and I get it. They've had a slow start these last few games, but I think you also need to take into consideration that they have played a top 5 defense these last 3 weeks. And so, yes, a slow start, but they've been able to make those adjustments and come out on top. So I'm confident in this team. I'm excited that we're at home here in Seattle. I mean, I know that with no crowd, people are like, oh, but what's a home field advantage? But Russell Wilson, he brought it up a few weeks ago that it's like, even though there's no fans and so you don't have that impacting the game, just being able to be at home and in your comfort place, not being in a hotel room where you're stuck in that room, can't go anywhere, you don't have any of the amenities. So it really does make a difference in some aspect, even though the fans aren't here. And I wish the fans could be here.
Jackie, as always, I love talking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I so appreciate it and love all that you do for the Seahawks over at Seahawks.com and even on social media, even though you won't take credit for it. I love it all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. See, that's a true friend right there.
Well, our very own Aaron Levine remains undefeated as our trivia master. Will anyone ever be able to beat him? Let's find out on our latest On the Clock.
Well, we're now joined by Alicia in Edmonds. That's really her Twitter handle also. So a shout out to Edmonds, one of my favorite spots right on the waterfront there. How's it going, Alicia?
It's going well. How are you?
Doing great. Your friend let you know about this segment, right?
Yes, Kristen. So I have to tell her that I was on after we're done.
You don't have to know too much about sports for this trivia segment, but do you have a favorite athlete?
Oh, gosh. Actually, it's Matt Stafford.
Okay.
I'm a Detroit girl, so I have to root for my QB in Detroit.
Well, I'm very sorry about that. I know it's been a rough decade or so with Matthew Stafford and the Lions, but just take on the competitive spirit of Matthew Stafford and you'll be just fine in this segment.
Will do.
We're playing for a $100 gift card to Daniel's Broiler. You have to beat me outright to win. These questions are provided by The Fish, Jeff Aaron of Fame Trivia USA. Check him out at Fame Trivia USA on Facebook. I can't wait for us to be able to go to trivia nights again, by the way. This is the next best thing now.
The one at Church Key Pub is really good.
Okay, well, we'll check that out when we can finally get back out there. Each of us is going to have a minute to answer as many questions as possible. You're going to go first. I'm going to take my headphones off, and I'm putting different headphones on now. Bruno Mars is playing. You'll be able to hear him. So Jessamine McIntyre is on the line. Jessamine, go for it.
All right, Alicia, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, you are officially on the clock. Stay thirsty, my friends, said the most interesting man in the world, promoting what brand of beer?
Dos Equis.
What brass instrument is used to play reveille?
Trumpet.
While texting your friends, what is the most common meaning for BFF?
Best friends forever.
Music. This American band's greatest hits album sold over 40 million copies, making it the best-selling album of all time.
Rolling Stones.
Alpha, beta, gamma. What is the fourth letter of the Greek alphabet?
Beta.
Vaccine is a hot topic these days. Jonas Salk created perhaps the most famous vaccine ever when he helped cure what infectious disease?
Polio.
Which Big Ten football school plays their home games at East Landing?
Michigan State.
Yeah, you got it. Aaron, ready to go?
Yes.
You are officially on the clock. Stay thirsty, my friends, said the most interesting man in the world, promoting what brand of beer?
Dos Equis.
Which brass instrument is used to play reveille?
Trumpet.
While texting your friends, what is the most common meaning of BFF?
Best friends forever.
This American band greatest hits album sold over 40 million copies,
Eagles.
making it the best. Alpha, beta, gamma. What is the fourth letter of the Greek alphabet?
Delta.
Vaccine is a hot topic these days. Jonas Salk created perhaps the most famous vaccine ever when he helped cure what infectious disease?
Polio.
Which Big Ten football school plays their home games in East Lansing?
Michigan State.
Name the only one of Disney's dwarfs whose name does not end in the letter Y.
Bashful.
Oh, and that'll do it. Aaron, you are once again victorious, but it's a slim margin.
You can never give me a dwarfs question because there was a commercial in Southern California growing up where you had to say the dwarfs' names as fast as possible. And to this day, it's Sleepy, Happy, Grubby, Dopey, Sneezy, Bashful Doc.
Well, you were good. And also, there are 2 dwarves that don't have a last name ending in Y. So I was a little bit wrong on that one. It's Doc and Bashful.
Yeah.
Alicia, thanks so much for joining us. Just for playing, we've got a Q13 Fox coffee mug for you. So we'll get that out in the mail for you soon.
And enjoy my other collection of fun mugs that I like to have.
I love it. So it's right up your alley. And I'm sure you'd like to put me on mute right now.
This is fun.
Thanks so much for joining us. Rematch soon, okay?
Rematch, totally.
Again, the answer is the most interesting man in the world promotes Dos Equis. The Bugle plays Ravel. BFF stands for Best Friends Forever. The Eagles' greatest hits album sold more than 40 million copies. And Delta, the 4th letter of the Greek alphabet. Jonas Salk created the vaccine for polio. Michigan State plays in East Lansing. And Bashful and Doc are the 2 dwarfs that don't end with the letter Y. Michelle?
Aaron, I like you singing about all the dwarfs again. Let's do that again. That was fun. But hey, great job. Love to see you on the trivia. And now if you at home want to take on Aaron and be a part of On the Clock, just head over to Twitter and send a note to Aaron at AaronQ13Fox for your chance to join us on the show. Let's bring Aaron back in now. And Aaron, you've not only just dominated the trivia for us of late, which every time just blows my mind, but also your picks were definitely in our favor in 2020. What do you have for us this week and against all odds?
Well, what happens is every time we get a little cocky, Michelle, or think this is a sure thing, it really never is. To recap what happened last week, Alabama could not cover the 20-point spread against Notre Dame, so we lost that game. Ohio State beat Clemson outright. Giants fans weren't the only one upset that the Eagles basically threw the end of that game to Washington. The Giants came through for me earlier in the day against the Cowboys. The Cardinals went south when Kyler Murray left the game. So we were just 2-3 last week, 26. I think 28, 18, and 1 for the season. So we try to rebound this week with the Buckeyes in the national championship game taking more than a touchdown. Did you know that playoff teams in the NFL with losing records are actually undefeated in the postseason? That includes the Seahawks Beastquake game against the New Orleans Saints 10 years ago. So I'm going to go with Washington plus 8.5 points against Tampa Bay. Give me the Bears and 9.5 points. The Bills to cover a touchdown against the Colts, and the Browns to keep it close against the Steelers. That is hopefully the formula to getting back to a winning week. Michelle?
Absolutely, Aaron. I think that was the first one all year that I guess it would be all year because we haven't been doing it more than a year, that we haven't gotten on the winning side of things, but hopefully we turn that around now in 2021. But that was just great, and that does it for us here on this episode of Just a Bit Outside, presented by WaFd Bank. Join a best bank. A huge thanks today to Carla Marie, Anthony, and Jackie for joining the show. For Aaron Levine and our entire production crew, I am Michelle Ludtka. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you same time, same spot next week.